All right, start out. I'd like to introduce the Fire Marshal for the City of Springfield, who would like to, Chris Richmond, who will introduce the Mayor of Springfield, our host. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to Springfield. Forecast for tomorrow is sunny and trending warmer, obviously. Yeah. Well, at any rate, my pleasure today to introduce our mayor, Mayor J. Michael Houston, Mayor of Springfield. Thank you.
Well, you are the brave ones. You made it here with no problem. And Chris, I think, only lied just a little bit to you in terms of what the weather forecast is. But believe it or not, if you flip on the local weather on your iPhones, it will tell you at 4 o'clock it's supposed to be 40 degrees. So today you are seeing just a little bit of everything in Springfield. And as Larry said as he was driving down from Chicago, he left at 7, just got here. He literally experienced everything from thunder to whiteouts. So again, we really appreciate you taking the opportunity to come to this conference to improve your professional skills and to do a better job of serving the people within your community. On behalf of the people of the City of Springfield, it is my pleasure to be able to welcome you. And one of the things that we really believe is that Springfield, as your state capital, should be the home of all of your meetings. You know, one of the things I would hope you would do, and do this not necessarily today, but over the next couple of days, is to take a few minutes and make a trip over to the state capitol. And you say, well, why go to the state capitol right now? My state rep or my senator is not there, but I think it really is important that you do take the time while you're here and stop by, let them know that you were in town, let them know that you stopped by the office, let them know that you were here for this conference, and then leave a message that you appreciate their support of MABAS, because I think that is extremely important. If there is in fact anything that you need during the course of this conference, we are your host and we are literally at your disposal. So if there is anything that comes up that they can't handle right here, don't hesitate to contact my office. Now, Chris is here because our fire chief is a little brighter than some of the other chiefs that are in the room. He is someplace that we would all like to be. Daytona Beach, Florida. And what a great time to be in Daytona Beach, Florida. Not only considering what the weather is like here, but the races down there. But on a serious note, Ken Fuston is our fire chief, and Ken Fuston really does a fantastic job. I've had the opportunity to serve as mayor of the city of Springfield in the early 80s, from about 1979 to 1987, and then was out of office for 24 years, came back with the 2011 election. And Ken literally is the best that I've seen in terms of a fire chief of this community. He really works and works literally every day to make sure that the lives of our residents and our guests are safer by constantly working to improve our fire department. And I think that's the same type of thing that you're doing within your local communities. Because of your work and coordination, your residents and the guests in your communities, not only in your particular community, but literally communities all across Illinois, have much better coordinated emergency operations that are exponentially safer. We here understand that some communities have been slow to employ and utilize MABAS, but that needs to change. At a time when financial resources are extremely limited, we must ensure that we are doing everything we can to be as efficient as possible. Municipalities must ensure that their dispatchers are clear and unambiguous when they are giving instructions about the people they are sending to incidents or disasters, and to make sure that the right equipment is being sent. Better coordination is still needed. One of the things that we really want to support here in Springfield is a stronger push to get more districts involved and a part of the system. We know that with greater participation, an emergency response will be more efficient, especially in areas that normally may be short on services. You know, we experienced the bombing in Boston, and we saw really how vital it was to have layers of support. And that really came across as you saw the response to that particular disaster. One of the things we have to keep in mind is that we literally have a chain, and a chain is only as strong as its weakest part, so that if the chain breaks, the entire effectiveness can be destroyed. With MABAS, we know that it saves time, we know that it saves money, and we also know that it saves lives. You know, the weather is really miserable, and I'm sure that there's no one here that has much of a desire to walk out of this hotel. But one of the things that when I have the opportunity to welcome a group to the city of Springfield, I ask them to do is to take a good look at our community. You know, Springfield, there's not probably a person in this room that has not visited Springfield on numerous occasions. This community has a very, very rich history. There is something about Abraham Lincoln that literally attracts people from all over the world. Well, you may not want to do that today. I hope that if can't do it on this visit, that at some time in the future while you're here that you really will get out of the hotel and take a look at some of the things that people literally come from all over the world to see. You know, within 2 blocks of this hotel immediately to the south, we have the only home that Mr. Lincoln ever owned. It's part of a 4 square block national park, the only national park in the state of Illinois. If you walk 1 block to the west, you have Mr. Lincoln's law office, the place where he practiced law from 1842 to 1852. If you walk across the mall, you have the restored old state capitol, which at night under candlelight, I believe is the most beautiful building in the state of Illinois. That building, whether you realize it or not, is the tallest state capitol in this country that is not a skyscraper. It actually has a height of 361 feet. If you compare that to the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., it is 289 feet. Just walking into the old state capitol and walking up that beautiful staircase is worth the trip in and of itself. In 1858, if you walk into the House of Representatives, that was the place where Mr. Lincoln delivered the famous House Divided Speech. In 1865, that was the place in the House of Representatives where more than 75,000 people walked by Mr. Lincoln's body after the assassination. Think about that for a second. 75,000 people walked by his body. The city of Springfield was a community of about 6,000 people at that time. Think about what it took for someone to travel in 1865 to come to Springfield. And that gives you some idea of the respect and the honor that Mr. Lincoln was held by the people of Central Illinois. Within 3 blocks of this hotel, we have the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum, which is literally the best presidential museum in the entire country. Within about 2 miles, you have the Lincoln Tomb, which is currently being refurbished in anticipation of the 150th anniversary in 2015 of Mr. Lincoln's funeral. We also have 20 miles west of Springfield, New Salem Village, which is literally an authentic working community of Mr. Lincoln's time during the 1830s. Now, whether you realize it or not, next to Jesus Christ, Mr. Lincoln is the most studied man in the world today. Jesus Christ is the only person in the world today who has more pages written about him than Mr. Lincoln. You have the opportunity to learn about Mr. Lincoln's principles and values. It was those principles and values that led him to become the greatest president in the history of this country. In Springfield, you can literally walk the streets that Mr. Lincoln walked and learn how he lived. In conclusion, I do want to thank you for all that you do to keep your neighbors, your families, and your loved ones safe. That is extremely important. Again, should you need anything during your visit, don't hesitate to contact my office. Have a great conference. Use this as an educational experience to be able to learn and to take back to your community. And one of the things I really want to remind you of is you are on an expense account. Spend a lot of money and help our local economy. Have a great day.